Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm sharing a birthday card featuring some stamp sets from Mama Elephant and Simon Says Stamp. I started out with a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock taped down to a board, and on top of that I have the mini Staggered Circles stencil from My Favorite Things, and I'm going over that with some Fallen Snow glitter glaze from Brutus Monroe. Once I finished completely covering the stencil and smoothing out the paste, I very carefully lifted up the stencil, and then I cleaned it right away so that none of that paste will stick to the stencil. Now this glitter glaze is pretty sparkly, but I wanted to go even crazier with the sparkle, so I took some Simon Says Stamp Unicorn Dust Glitter and I sprinkled it over the top of the panel, and it sticks to all of that texture paste. I set the panel aside to dry, and then I stamped one of the images from the Little Mermaiden Agenda stamp set from Mama Elephant, and I stamped that with Gina K Designs Jet Black Amalgam ink. I stamped this cute little mermaid onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, which is my favorite cardstock for Copic coloring. If you want to follow along with the colors that I'm using here, I do have all of the marker caps set off to the side so that you can see those colors that I'm using. This image is really tiny, so I tried to keep the coloring pretty simple. I only used 1 or 2 markers in each of the areas, except with the hair where I used 3. I find that hair can be tricky sometimes with Copic coloring, so I always like to practice on a piece of scrap paper before I commit to any colors. I'll often stamp that image onto some scrap paper a couple of times right after stamping it onto the good paper. That way I have that scrap paper ready for practicing. Once I finished up the coloring on this mermaid, I put it in my Scan and Cut to fussy cut it out. I picked out a sentiment from the Big Birthday Greetings stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I stamped that with VersaFine ONYX Black ink onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. I then took an oval die from the Hero Arts Nested Oval Die set, and I placed it on top of that glitter paste panel that I created earlier, and I ran that through my die cutting machine to create a window in the panel. I added some foam tape to the back of that, and then I very carefully placed it on the panel of paper with my sentiment so that that sentiment is right in the middle of the window. I took an A2 size card base and I adhered a piece of Fog cardstock from Simon Says Stamp to the front of it, and then I took that entire panel that I created with the window and the sentiment and I glued it to the front of my card with some Gina K Designs Connect glue. Now the reason that I used the liquid glue here was so that I could move the panel around until it was nice and centered. I wanted to create a second sentiment for the card, so I took out the Tiny Words birthday stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I stamped one of those sentiments onto some Peacock cardstock, which is also from Simon Says Stamp, and I stamped that with Versamark ink and embossed it with Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I cut that sentiment down into a tiny strip, and I added foam tape to the back of it as well as the mermaid that I created, and I popped them both up onto the card. I took out the Coast Sequins from Lucy's cards, and I added a few of those across the card and glued them down with my Gina K Designs Connect glue. For the finishing touches on the card, I first took a white gel pen and I added some details and highlights to the mermaid. I then took my Wink of Stella glitter brush and I went over the smaller sentiment. With that, this card is all done, and here's a closer look at all of that sparkle in the background. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design featuring some products from Simon Says Stamp and Mama Elephant. All of the supplies that I used for today's card can be found in the description down below. If this is your first time on my channel and you enjoyed watching today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I do new card videos every single week, and I'm going to be back with another one really soon. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day today.